On the Business Breakfast this morning, we're having a look about what family companies in the Gulf need to do to make sure that they stay family companies in the Gulf. We're very pleased to have Bill Humphreys, trainer and consultant from Eureka Financial, in the studio with us this morning. Bill, good morning.
Good morning.
We hear an awful lot on this show about how hard it is for family companies to keep going through the generations. We've heard some scary statistics about how few are left after 2 generations and 3 generations and beyond. But I don't think we've ever been given an accurate explanation as to why it's so hard. Why is it?
I think family businesses are complex. When you look at any family business, it is effectively 3 independent but overlapping subsystems. So you've got the family itself, you've got the ownership of the business, and you've got the employees in the business. And what we find is that over time, the alignment of the interests of the various parties gets further and further apart. So you start out with a business that's owned by the patriarch or the controlling owner, and great alignment of values, of goals, and of objectives. By the time the business has passed to the 2nd generation, you're now looking at sibling partnerships, or to the 3rd generation, you're now looking at cousin consortiums, we call them. And the alignment of interests just becomes more and more fragmented. And as a result, we have competing self-interests within the family business system.
But if everyone knows that it's tricky, if everyone knows that the statistics are maybe not in their favour, why are people not bringing in consultants such as yourselves, third parties, to make sure that it doesn't happen to them?
It's interesting. Your previous article looked at the number of new millionaires that were going to be created, and a great deal of that will be from family businesses. And I think the type of culture and the type of personality that is a successful entrepreneur is typically somebody who wants to dominate, control, maintain the decisions. And one of the failings we often see is the reluctance to hand over control to the next generation. So we end up with businesses that are controlled by the patriarch or the matriarch well into the patriarch's 80s, 70s and 80s, which is not terribly motivational for the next generation in many cases.
It's astonishing, really, how we regard wealth. If you've always had it, it'll always be there for you, and you don't take it quite as seriously. Sometimes the next generation gets too greedy or whatever. But it has always astonished me that in the NASDAQ boom 10 years ago, and in the more recent sort of social media boom as well, how many people have had wealth and who haven't, for instance, just taken $1 million out, put it in an account hidden somewhere, and left it there in case of a rainy day. People always assume it's going to be there, and of course, quite often they lose the whole lot as a result. Our sort of views of wealth change depending on whether or not we've had it before, or whether we take it for granted.
Very much so, yeah, and that's one of the things we see is that you've probably heard all of the cliches, clogs to clogs or shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. The values that the founder of the business has when they create the business is very often driven by the fact that they hadn't had significant wealth previously. Whereas by the time you get to that 3rd generation, they've been brought up with wealth around them for their entire lifetime. So as a result, they have very different values. And as we said earlier, the fragmentation. It's a sweeping generalization, but there is a belief amongst entrepreneurs is that their money is best invested in their own business. They believe they can make more out of investing in their own business. So one of the challenges quite often is to ask a family to actually diversify, to get into other areas of interest and spread the risk. But it's a very difficult conversation with an entrepreneur.
Well, we have heard in the last 4 or 5 months about a number of family businesses here who are starting to look towards the stock market, towards a potential IPO given decent conditions, as a way of ensuring that the company keeps going. How much of a solution is that? Why does going public make a difference?
It brings challenges. It brings opportunities. Clearly, if the desire or the need is for additional capital, the listing provides that. If it's credibility and profile by being in public hands, the IPO can bring that as well. But we do see a lot of challenges with that. I'm not suggesting it shouldn't be pursued, but we do see a lot of challenges in that effectively we're asking the family to give up some control. And everybody then has to understand their role in the business. Are they in as managers or as shareholders? And it's quite important that we have fairly clear governance in terms of what the rights and responsibilities are of the shareholders versus the executive board in the business.
What are the warning signs that a family firm might be heading south?
There's basically, as we said before, there are three subsystems going on. So a business itself, if you look at the underlying business, will go through natural evolution and phases, will reach maturity and possibly decline. So we need to look at the business itself. We also need to look at fragmentation of ownership in the family. When the business is controlled by the founder, if you like, there's clear alignment of interests. But by the time you get to that third generation, you've now got cousins who, depending on how the business has been passed down through the previous generations, may not know each other. So you go from a single family to multi-generational families, then to separate networks of families. So fragmentation, disagreement, conflict amongst family members is often the source of the problems. The businesses are often very successful. The failure is not the business, it's the family's failure to communicate with each other.
I suppose truism really in any family business where you've started with not very much and you've built up your own business and you've got your next generation coming along is that the second generation is usually better educated than the first generation. They've been to business schools, they've got MBAs and everything else. And that quite often they want to take the company in a different direction than the father or the parent would like, which can cause internal stresses in the company.
Absolutely. One of the things we'll be looking at this session over the next 2 days is preparing the next generation. I think historically family-run businesses have had the view that the next generation will be involved in the business, and there hasn't been a choice. But over time we're seeing attitudes change, social norms are changing. So families are doing an awful lot more now to prepare the next generation or for being involved in the business, or if they don't have the appropriate skill sets, for pursuing other careers. And that is often a challenge as well. The founder may have expectations that the next generation want to be in the business and expect to be in the business, whereas they may have completely different expectations. And that's very much part of the succession planning and preparing for that intergenerational transfer.
You mentioned over the next couple of days you're going to be talking about that because the RSM Dahman are arranging the Managing the Family Enterprise Days. There's one in Dubai here at the Meydan Hotel on the 22nd of October, which I think is tomorrow.
Yes.
And then on the 23rd at the Beach Ratana up in Abu Dhabi as well. Are you expecting many family companies themselves to attend this?
Yes, we are.
Or is it people that deal with family companies?
No, it's going to be exclusively for family businesses. It's by invitation only. We have a number of RSM clients will be attending the session. If people are interested, limited seats are available, but if they contact RSM, we can make a place available for them. But it will be family businesses, yes, not advisors or consultants to the industry.
I know that one of the things people often suggest is to bring in third parties in different management roles within a business, people who aren't family, to bring them in for the skills. I've always wondered, how do you motivate third parties who are coming to work in a family business? I mean, they must see, an incredible glass ceiling there in terms of how high they can actually rise, in terms of, what kind of management position they can aspire to. How do you motivate someone who knows that no matter what they do, they're never going to be part of the family?
Very good question. Governance, I would say, is the answer to that, and clear demarcation of responsibilities. One of the things we often see within family business is nepotism. We see family members being favoured over non-family members. And if you are looking to recruit talented third-party professionals or industry specialists, you need to be able to demonstrate there's a career path and they're going to be compensated appropriately. So employment compensation strategies and structures need to be in place. Well, both for the family and for third parties, actually.
Bill Humphreys is a trainer and consultant at Eureka Financial. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.